I don't know math. I don't know how to code. I'm not technical. I can't do this.
Now, how did you a female?
Oh my goodness, I forget about it. I think that I had to break a mental wall first. And when I eventually broke my mental wall, it's easier for me to now say, okay, I can figure this thing out. I actually started the first Model United Nations conference in my university. TBD. We trained over 2,500 people. Started Test Festival, Women in Test. We used to test manually. There was a breadth of automation. You can use tools like Selenium, Cypress, Appium to do automation tests, which means that the very hard, mundane tasks that testers used to, stress over, you just need to write the code once, press a button, and it runs multiple times. The same way you need testers to test every product, regardless of how great it is. You still need testers to check out these AI systems to make sure that they are functioning as expected.
What were like the biggest challenges that you had to just face moving from non-technical to technical and becoming really good at software testing?
It was hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. It was very hard. There was a time we pitched to over close to 50 companies for just give us money now, make a run this event. And
as AI becomes more powerful, more better, do you think there will also be a need for human testers?
Of course. I like to see AI as still a software product, but more autonomous, more diverse. But it's still a software product. And the same way you need testers to test every product, regardless of how great it is, you still need testers to check out these AI systems to make sure that they are functioning as expected, the quality of data that is being trained, the AI models, and the response you're getting. And I do not think that it is a doom call. I think that it's actually a great thing that is happening. For the software testing space, for instance, there was a time where we used to test manually. There was a breadth of automation. You can use tools like Selenium, Cypress, Appium to do automation tests, which means that the very hard, mundane tasks that testers used to, stress over, you just need to write the code once, press a button, and it runs multiple times in seconds, as much as you want. And, people were coming to say, with automation, testers are going to die. But with the birth of automation, same with the birth of the Industrial Revolution, we found out that, there's actually something else we can do. So I think here, when automation came into the field, testers found out, with automation, we cannot focus on making sure that the products we're building actually work. Because you can be so fixated on testing, we want to go live. Be so fixated on testing the application that you just test against what the developers built, as opposed to how can we make more money? As opposed to what does the business really want? As opposed to does this really fit into what the customers need?
So coming from history, international relations, even though you already had some exposure, having a senior brother that was already in tech, must have been pretty difficult to a large extent.
Oh my goodness, it was.
Learning, going into the career as a profession properly, what were like the biggest challenges that you had to just face moving from non-technical to technical and becoming really good at software testing?
It was hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. It was very hard. When I went into the fintech space, goodness, I had to. My boss used to say something, you either swim or you drown. So I had to swim or drown. So there were a lot of technical words that was flying over my head. I also needed to understand how the entire software architecture actually works in reality. I also had to start knowing how to test APIs. I needed to know how to do automation. I needed to know some little bit of database tests, understand what goes on the CI/CD pipeline. It was crazy. I think that the fact that I didn't have any knowledge, any background in tech made it very difficult, because difficult in the sense that I felt like I couldn't do it. I felt like, people that are here, most of the people on my team, they're like, first of all, I was the only female to start with in my team. It was crazy. So I was the only female. Most of them had a computer science background. So I felt like, I wish I'd studied computer science. So I felt that way too. But what happened eventually was all of this challenge. I remember I was watching videos. I was always binging YouTube videos. And most of the people on these YouTube videos are usually Indians that teach this thing. So sometimes it's annoying because you can't find someone who have your own cultural context.
Yeah.
And a software product built in Silicon Valley is not the same thing with one built in Nigeria. And it might actually not fly for many reasons. Like, I can go into so many reasons why it might not fly. So I already saw this and I'm like, you know what? I need somebody that can say, oh, this is actually how to do this within our context. I remember I was talking to my brother about it and it was really, really sad. And he said, this is a problem. There's so many people that must be facing this problem. That why can't you provide a solution? So what I did was to start the Bug Detective in 2021. So what happened with the Bug Detective and why it became a good thing on the long way was I started putting out content as to whatever I'm learning, I put it out there. I share it. And the thing about sharing knowledge is the more you share, the more you retain. Yeah. So I started to share knowledge. I started to put out content. I started to ask questions. And I had so many other testers, just slide in my DM to say, oh, this is what I'm working on. Do you want to learn? Okay, I'm trying to learn a particular tool for 14 days. Do you want to go on the challenge with me? And, that was our challenge. I started having like group of people who I could learn with. So having that community of other people who were willing to grow with me really helped me. So I would say that it was challenging, but it was a problem. And the solution also came along the way while trying to resolve the problem. So when we eventually started training, because eventually I started putting out training for other people in testing. One of the people I always, even till date, one of the people I focus on the most are people with non-technical background. And what I'm saying, and it's not like if you have technical background, you can't join that training. Of course you can. Yeah. But there's that focus on people, because I know what it feels like when you automatically rule yourself out of the list. Like, I can't be here. I don't know math. I don't know how to code. I'm not technical. I can't do this.
Now, how did you get a female?
Oh my goodness, I forget about it. But because I knew that, I felt it was hard. And I figured at the end of the day, it's not as hard as we think it is. I remember studying someone a couple of weeks ago saying that, when you was like, coding is so hard. I said, no, I think it's a mentality thing. The day I started to tell myself that, no, it's a piece of cake. For some reason, it became a piece of cake for me. But I think that it was not because it automatically just became a piece of cake. I think that I had to break a mental wall first. And when I eventually broke my mental wall, it's easier for me to now say, okay, I can figure this thing out. Yeah.
I think that's something very powerful that you actually just shared. You have to first break that mental wall. Very important. We have a lot of those kind of walls. Sometimes it's built from just your exposure. People around you have just not done something. So you just think that I can't do it. Or typically it's mostly males that dominate this particular field. I can't do it. But it's people from a certain kind of background that have certain privileges that can afford to start their businesses or build companies before I can. So if you don't take time to really break down that mental wall,
and also surrounding yourself with people who believe. I was talking about my team. I work at them. They were mostly men. I was actually the only female for the longest time, but they were always encouraging me. And anytime I had any challenge code-wise, someone was available to help me. So I think that's also very important.
Building the Bug Detective, and also beyond that, you also extended it to building a community for women in testing, and also TestFest. So have you navigated finding the right people and even raising funding, especially for funding now in terms of events? So what maybe a company will be like getting even clients?
For people, I think that one of the biggest blessings for the Bug Detective has always been people. And for the longest time, we had so many people who volunteered without me having to pay a dime. So I had people who just come to say, Avi, is there anything you'd like me to do? I'm like, I always have something for you. So just come. So I always have something for everybody. So for Test Festival, I think that it was mostly more recently, I think from 2024, that we started to pay for things like videography, social media, and all of those things. The first edition that's for Test Festival in 2023, we just paid for, the space. We paid for the space, the screen, sound, audio, whatever, and, streaming and all of those things. And every other thing was volunteers. People were just like, oh, I can do this. I can create content. I can post on social media. I can do logistics. I can communicate. I can send emails. And, the event came together. But I understood that for us to scale, you need to put structures in place. And when it comes to partnership and sponsorship, well,
there's a lot of unpacking.
There's a lot of unpacking because I think that when it comes to funding tech event, maybe it's a mentality, I'm not sure. But when it comes to software testing event, I don't think that we get the level of audience from companies as much as we should. Because it's more like, oh, it's a professional thing, software testing. Some organization in Nigeria said they even have testers to start with. Yeah. So trying to convince them to put their, resources into it, it's always really, really interesting. I don't want to say hard. It was very interesting. I've had to pitch. There was a time we pitched to over close to 50 companies for just give us money now, make a run this event. And the number of no's were staggering. And I would say that it's easier for partnership because we've had partnerships. It's easier because we had partnership with Selenium. Selenium is an automation tool. So we had partnership with Selenium. We have partnership with Cypress. Cypress is also an automation tool and a global tool. It's not a Nigerian thing. It's not even a US thing. It's global. And we've had partnership with these people. We've had partnership with 7-Up Nigeria, Pepsi and Co. We've had partnerships with Biggie. We've had partnership with Oriki. So many of those top brands. But when it now comes to, okay, beyond all of this, let's have conversations about money. It can be very interesting. So I wouldn't say that I have all of the trick in my heart, but we've been able to host the event regardless. And many of course, had to come from personal funds. It also had to come from support from my team. And it also had to come from, individuals who are like, okay, we see what you're doing here. We support what you're doing here. And this is how we can support. And we've also had some company partners sponsorship in it. It's not been grand, to be frank. It has not been grand, but I think that one of the things I've noticed is that for every year, the level of partnership increases. And that's because sometimes people want to see what you're capable of.
You have to show work it first.
Before I am willing to commit to it, which is understandable.
So a lot of people that maybe are just like they have the brilliant ideas. I'd love to host an event. I'll bring 100, 500 people, 1,000. It's good that they have this understanding of what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's not like how they say exactly. You don't think that you just walk into that company and tell them I'm bringing a set of people, they'll throw the money out.
And they'll throw the money. And you can't blame them either. Because if you come to meet me, for instance, and say, oh, Abiola, we want you to sponsor our event, I had to think about it in the sense of, if my company is making X amount of money every year, and I'm giving you this amount, what is the return to my company? Does it bring me more clients? Does it bring visibility to my brand? The people that are going to be at your event, are they the type of, client I'm looking for? Things like that. And you can't blame them because the economy is the economy.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that every penny I'm putting out there has its own use and not like I'm just throwing money in the air.
Yeah.
So I would say that, it's very important to just know before you jump into it. Just have it at the back of your mind that, you might actually have to do some lifting yourself if you truly believe in the cause, you're running for.
Yeah.
Hi there. I know you're enjoying this episode, but we need you to do something. Please double check if you've subscribed to the channel. If you haven't, click on the subscribe button, like, share, and most importantly, leave a comment. Tell us what you found very insightful, very valuable from this episode so far, or by the time you complete the entire video. Please do that right now. That is one way that it can help us to continue to keep the lights on. Please do that. You can get right back into the video.
After working with hundreds of testers, whether from your own personal, from the company, working with clients or working building communities, whether for women or the test festival, right? You work with a lot of testers, you work with a lot of people in this space. What are the patterns like in terms of talent, opportunities, and even barriers of entry?
The requirement has really changed. When I was starting, it was different. I don't necessarily need to know everything before I can get a job. I just need to know enough to get the job done, and someone will employ me. But now, I mean, everybody wants to get to tech. So everybody's picking a tech skill, everybody's learning something. TBD has trained, more than 2,500 people since 2021 to today for free in testing. So imagine you now have 2,500 people that are
looking for their next role,
that are looking for test roles. And the what's it called? The requirement has really changed. And so you now see where a company is asking for an entry-level role, and they're asking if you could do, they're asking you if you could do APM, if you can do mobile automation tests, if you can do web automation, if you have an idea of database, if you could. They can ask you for heaven and earth. And the salary is very annoying, if I could say so myself. Very annoying, because I'm like, it doesn't really, unfortunately, you can also blame them, if you get what I mean. The economy isn't smiling on them as well, so they need to look for a way to cut costs, and see a way they can get good talent that can do a lot of things for them at a minimal cost. So you can't blame them either. Based on what I've seen, in comparison to when I started, I think that people are still employing. And I see a lot of people have JP'd. So when people are JP'ing, it means that their roles are open. I believe that there are still roles in tech, in software testing. I believe that there are actually still so many roles available. I just think that the requirements are just different now. The entry point has really changed. Companies are also employing more often than not now than they used to before. And, for the talent as well, I think that there might be a lot of room for improvement.
Talking about mentorship, you've also spoken with a lot of maybe mentees, especially women now. Mm-hmm. What are like the biggest challenges women face in coming into the technical space? Maybe not even just in testing, maybe in testing and in other areas.
So I think that for women in general, there is already that mental barrier that, this is a male-dominated field. There is that challenge of the mentality wall, where you think that this is not a role for me because I am not a man. But I genuinely feel like that's just a fallacy, and it's just something that you've told yourself repeatedly. But if you tell yourself the reverse repeatedly, like, I can do this, just a matter of time, your mind will also catch up with that reality and you begin to get it done. But there are also serious challenges. So I have a group of some of my mentees who are moms in tech, and who are we do a lot of things for stay-at-home moms. So there are certain stay-at-home moms in tech, and also women generally in tech. And one of them came to me crying. And what happened was, we've been preparing for, doing a lot of interview prep for a particular role. So I was really excited. And she was like, you can't imagine what happened today. Like, what happened today? And she said, okay, this organization actually told her that because she's a newlywed, they couldn't employ her. Why? Because she might decide to get pregnant soon and go on maternity leave soon. So which means that they will not be able to utilize as
during that period, and they might still have to pay.
And they will still have to pay her. And I could feel her pain, because she has a husband. And her husband was not asked, did you just get married? In fact, the fact that your husband just got married it gives him more leverage, because this is a serious man. Yeah. He's a family man. He has family to take care of.
Not just wake up one day and
pack his load, right? So I genuinely felt her pain. And whether we like it or not, it's still the reality of things even today, because this is a very recent issue. And so these are actually some of the challenges that, are very, very evident in our space, even in tech. Then we also have the salary gap. I remember that there was, when I used to work 9 to 5, I remember that I figured that I was doing so much, but I wasn't earning so well. And it was funny enough, it was actually someone on my team, a developer, that told me, Abiola, do you know that you're actually earning very low? And I'm like, Really? Tell me about it.
I thought we all.
And it was like, he told me his salary, he told me some of it. And I was like, what? Seriously, leave that one. Me, you don't even have to tell me something like that. And I just went on to, I just left. I think I went to my CTO first, and I'm like, this thing will go work. I went straight to my CEO. I'm like, sir. And I went to
Let's talk about this.
And I was like, and he was like, wait, what do you want? I said, I want 100%. He could say, hey, have fun. But yeah, I got I think I got a 124% raise eventually. So I got more than what I asked for. And the reality was that I was actually working twice as hard as most people on my team. And why I'm saying so is because if you're a front-end engineer, for instance, you are basically working as a front-end person. If you're a back-end person, you're working as a back-end engineer, DevOps, UI, UX. But as a tester, I work with every single person on that team. So I'm testing your design. I'm testing when you're done integrating front-end. I'm testing your APIs. I am also sending my automation to be integrated in the CI/CD pipeline. I'm literally working with everybody. But I'm earning lesser. So, and I just had to stand for myself and fight for myself. And I've seen that not just with me, but even from my other female friends. Sometimes you have to demand for it. I was supposed to do it was supposed to be a side gig. And the man was asking me, you're not married now, what do you want to take that kind of money do? And he was literally asking me, this money, is this money not too much for you? What do you want to do with it? So it's still part of the socioeconomic part in the sense that whether we like to admit it, because I know that many people like to sweep it under the rug, but it's the reality of things. Whether you want to face it head on to say, this is actually a challenge, or you want to sweep it under the rug, it doesn't automatically wipe away the reality of what is going on. But yeah, there's that issues in the space. So I think those are just put it on those two spectrum of saying there's the technical part, which is basically not because they are not skilled. So I just think it's because they think they can't do it. And of course, there's just the socioeconomic part where our society feels like as a woman, you shouldn't be heading certain things because you're not married or because you are married. So problem, you're not married, trouble. You're married, trouble. So it's just really sad.
Yeah, I think it's very important to actually know that these challenges are there. And like you said, face it head on. And very great advices for even women. There'll be cases where they might not even think that it's something wrong, but it's important to show value and demand for it. In moments when they just think, which might even apply to even some males too in some industries, right? Whatever you are doing, if you think that, I think that's why you also need mentorship. Yeah. Someone needs to tell you that you are doing quite a lot. You should be earning quite much more than this. And once they tell you to, you go ahead, demand, show proof, show the data that this is what I'm doing, this is the result, and I should be earning at this much. And obviously some that respects your skill will eventually pay what they need to pay. For someone listening right now, that with everything I've shared about how entry level is very hard to get in, they still feel that they want to build a career in the testing space. Do you think there are still opportunities, and what would you say, what steps should they take?
I think that one of the steps that you should take is, of course, just learn the foundation of testing. I would say that there are ways to learn and there are ways not to learn. I would say one of the ways not to learn is to jump on an automation tool and say, okay, I want to start test. I'm going to go and pick Cypress. I'm going to go and pick Selenium. I'm going to pick Postman. What you would do is to be a beautiful user of this tool and you have zero knowledge of testing. You just be a lousy tester or a solid user of tools. So one of the first things that you need to do is learn the foundation of software testing. There's a reason why we test, there's how we test, and the importance of what we do. You cannot skip this because that would really guide how you use every of these tools. So I would say that's the first thing. Just make sure that you are learning all the foundational knowledge and putting it in place. One of the ways that you can actually do it is we offer free training at TVD, so you can always check that out. That's one. Another thing I would say is you need to be able to leverage connections. So LinkedIn is a fantastic place. Go on LinkedIn, check people who are already thriving in that space, or perhaps not even people thriving in the space. Pick up organizations that you think that you want to work with and look for people who are testers in these organizations and, have conversations with them. Ask them how they got into this role. Ask if there's, an opportunity. Tell them what you're doing. I would always say, learn first. Have something here before you go and meet somebody. So that, if they are going to refer you for an opportunity, you don't go there and flop and, put that person in a very tight place. So I would say that that's one of the sweetest ways to just go about it. Learn, and while you are learning, you are putting words out there that I'm trying to learn. And people that use LinkedIn as well, it's actually good. Just make sure that what you're putting out, you're actually learning. You're not just an influencer with no knowledge, but you're balancing it. So I'm learning how to write test cases, how to test an application. I'm putting out the knowledge I'm learning, but I'm actually also doing the work. So it's the work I'm doing, I'm putting out for people to see. So it brings visibility. So when someone thinks, oh, I want to employ a junior tester, you easily come to mind because they know that you've been putting a lot of work. You've been consistently putting out work that you're learning out there. So I would say that that's a very, very sweet way of getting jobs these days. So you can, referrals are beautiful. You don't need to go through that hassle of, applying to multiple organizations. So referral is sweet. Go through LinkedIn, reach out to people, put out works. And if you want to go through the traditional way of applying for jobs as well, there's a trick I always give my mentees, which is put out the list of things, put JDs together. What is the consistent things all of these organizations are looking for? And you can literally now tailor what you're learning to it. Because what you can do is, I want to learn software testing, and you're going to learn everything. You don't even know where to focus on. But when you learn through JDs, it's easier for you because the goal is to land a job. So why not learn towards what the organization actually needs? And, that way your learning curve will be shorter and you'll be able to get a job faster.
It's been a very, very beautiful and insightful conversation. Finally, what kind of impact would you love to be remembered for?
One of the major things that comes to mind would be someone who impacts others with what I know or what I do. I think it influences everything that I've ever built. When I was in school, I actually started the first Model United Nations conference in my university. Same thing when I came into testing, I started TBD. We trained over 2,500 people. And, started Test Festival, Women in Test and everything. I think that what is very important to me as a person is impact. It's not just about what I'm able to acquire or the knowledge I know as a person. It's about how I'm able to transfer those skills to other people and what they do with their lives eventually. So every time I hear someone say, I got a job, every time I hear someone say, oh, Abby, I got a promotion, I feel very fulfilled. So I think that impact is very important to me. And I think that if I'm going to think of my gravestone right now, I think what I want to be written is that, remembered by many as someone who poured out our entire life into other people.
Thank you so much. Such a great conversation. Such a great one. And ideas are actually great. Insights are great. But what's very, very important is execution. Listening to this conversation, whether on Spotify or on YouTube, you must have gotten ideas or things that you can implement, stuff that you can go and practice, but it's important to now really, really execute. And once you execute, you can now achieve those results. We'll continue to bring people like Abiola doing great stuff, building platforms, building communities, just to also inspire you that yes, you can do great things from small places, from even anywhere you are, irrespective of the amount of resources, exposure, or your background. You can do stuff, you can make impact. Just go out there, pick up these ideas and execute. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.